All right, welcome to the Let It Fly Show. I am Michael Severe, joined by Omaha Central and Creighton. And I almost said Creighton Prep right there, which is like my wife right now would be so mad at me if I said those words because you know she's a Omaha Bryan girl and she don't like to. Not a prep fan.
Bryan, that's what's up.
She's Bryan, and she didn't like to. Marion and Prep didn't like them for whatever reason. I don't know what happened back in the day. But Omaha Central and, of course, University of Creighton basketball player. Josh Jones joining us. How was your Easter? It's always more fun when you got little kids.
Yeah, it was cool, man. We stayed inside. It was cold, but we was cool, man. We chilling, good food, good family.
Cold?
It was cold for us.
I grilled.
I'm on blood thinner, so
I didn't realize it was that.
I was cold.
Was it cold? I was out. It was windy, yeah, and it rained a little bit too. Yeah, that was.
I was cold for sure.
Yeah, I got to get into the covered area.
We did have some of the kids go outside for a little bit, but I was in the house.
Yeah, did they do like a Easter egg hunt?
Nope, because it was too cold.
I'm not putting out the eggs.
Yeah,
in my neighborhood, there's this long boulevard, and they had about, I swear, 15,000 eggs.
I believe it.
It was so many, but it was Saturday morning they did it. They did it Saturday morning. They didn't do it Sunday morning.
Yeah, the BPOA, Black Police Officers Association, they do that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did it this year, but they normally do it.
Nothing wrong with that. That's normal that kids have a good time. We are live inside Let It Fly Sports Bar in the Capital District. Yep. It is the place to come for great specials all week long. We tape this on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Taco Tuesday. $2 a taco. You can get beef or chicken.
Yep.
Wednesday, $1 wings, which is pretty sweet, and a bunch of drink specials, including the drink that I believe is still the signature drink, and it is the Red Bull Watermelon Margarita.
It is.
You got to get that. You got to get that. Also brought to you by Bud Light. Whether you're drinking a Bud Light at your house or you're at a party or you're here or you're out west at Let It Fly West, it is easy drinking, easy buckets, easy right now, strikeouts, easy everything. To out in Nebraska, easy to drink and easy to enjoy. And don't forget about happy hour.
Yep.
From Monday through Friday, and then they got that reverse happy hour
that
happens at night too, so you want to check that out.
Yep.
You can't miss any of that. We have a full show for you today. Full show because Damon Benning's coming on.
That's my guy.
Former Husker, two-time national champ. Son Caleb obviously plays for Nebraska right now, and he is the color voice and has been, I think this is his third season of being the color voice for Nebraska. It's third. Yeah, and he took over kind of in the middle when Matt Davison stepped down when he was going to 1890. So, that was the last year that Frost was here, and he was gone, and Damon came in, and so he'll be doing it again. Obviously, doing it with somebody new this year because of the passing of Greg Sharp, who we all miss, and it's going to be interesting. I can tell you this: they received more than 250 applications for that job.
Wow,
250. I'm sure many of them weren't qualified. It's just people would think, let me throw it in there.
At least 247.
There's a lot that weren't qualified, but somebody's going to get it, and I'm sure it's going to be exciting. They're probably going to be a new station, too, a new carrier of Nebraska football in Omaha is what it looks like, too. That's nothing that could be happening as well. Look at the headlines. First of all, Saturday is the Husker games.
I know.
Husker games. So we will have a little bit scrimmage.
Yep.
Matt Rule said, taping it on Tuesday, about 60 plays. They'll do about 15 plays, and then they'll have like something fun, tug of war, some throwing competitions, people catching punts. Then they'll have 50 more plays, then do the same thing, and about 60 total plays for the scrimmage. And a lot of guys are playing are backups who are fighting their way to stay on this team.
I know.
Because they got to make big cuts.
Because a new rule. And why was that rule implemented again?
Well, part of it is, so you got the revenue sharing, right? And the way they figured out with the revenue sharing is they're going to give like $20.5 million to each of the teams in the 4 major conferences. And they're thinking, well, if you're going to equally distribute that, you have to have a number. You can't just have Nebraska with 140 kids and another school with 95 because it makes it a little uneven.
Right.
So they tried to find a happy medium. I thought the happy medium would have been 120. And then next year, 115. Then the next year, 110. You work your way to 105. But the judge suggested that. People above her said no. And so you got that going on.
Are you for it or against it when it comes to, like, what if it was your kid in that situation?
Well, I know. That's why I think you already have students who have chosen to come to Nebraska, walk on, be here for 2 years, bust their butts, to have their position, and then you getting cut. Well, I would have definitely grandfathered. I would have said the students that were already here under this, they finish, and then when they're gone, you make your way to 105. That's the way it should have been.
Right.
Yeah. So things that are going on. You can also go on a tour of the Osborne Legacy Complex.
That's tight.
That costs you $50.
That's tight.
$50. You get a 1 hour time window to purchase tickets. They take you all throughout everywhere. Locker room, everything. Then you have the Husker Food Truck Festival from 8 to 2. Lots of food. Husker Equipment Sale. So like all the old stuff, you can buy jerseys.
Autograph.
Well, I don't buy autograph, but you can buy like old jerseys or cleats or shoulder pads, all that stuff.
University making the money.
The Hawk Championship Center, you can do that.
Thomas.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Then the game.
Yeah.
Game's gonna be about 1 o'clock or 12. Gates open at 12:30. Game and football begins at 2 o'clock.
On what channel?
Not on TV.
That's crazy.
Not on TV. Like I said, limited amount. They're going to play a lot of the backups. It doesn't want to be on TV. So you have some 7-on-7 skill stuff.
That's cool.
You'll have, like I mentioned, the young guys out there trying to fight.
It's going to be, what's the capacity at the Husker Stadium?
Really, it's about 80,000 now.
So it'll be about 50.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, for the second string people, no.
Yeah. See, so like, if you look at the way springs of games have been going so far this year,
for sure.
There's some places like Ohio State, who remember won a national championship. They only had like 30,000 at theirs. Dang. So I don't know.
Right.
There's also a women's flag football game between Midland University and UNL. That's going to happen. That's going to be kind of fun at 1 p.m.
It's going to be 50, bro. Watch.
You think 50?
Because
that would be awesome if it was. I just don't know if they're going to get that many people there for that. It's I don't know. I hope so. I mean, it'd be cool to see that in the stadium.
Right.
There's nothing worse than the look of an empty stadium.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say,
it's
bro.
It's bad, man.
I know.
It's bad. NBA playoffs, of course.
You're right about that.
Headline number 2, headline playoffs.
Oh, it's been lit.
Going on right now. We got games being played right now as we talk. So
wow.
I'm gonna you've seen most of the first round games, at least the series starting.
Yes.
What's the most impressive thing you've seen so far?
Competition. Because NBA be like low key boring sometimes during the year.
A lot of blowouts though early.
Yeah, but
average margins like 15.
Aside from that, you know what I'm impressed with?
What?
Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
Reason why is because I knew he would be a good fit to go to Golden State.
Yep.
But it really made me recognize that like playoff Jimmy is a real thing.
Yep.
Which is like another level of a player, and it allows Steph Curry to like chill in the corner, and then he go get some money.
Yep.
Like, so
you think the Warriors are gonna win that series?
I think the Warriors will win that series.
I think Houston comes back and wins that series.
I've been impressed with the way Kawhi Leonard has been playing.
Yeah, good to see him healthy, man.
Good
to see him healthy.
It's like he played I think he played 30 something games on the back end of the season, and is killing, and was out for really like 2 years. And to play at this high of a level, like. You just got to be different.
Currently, that series tied 1-1.
Yeah.
It's a good. Do you have a favorite to come out of the East and a favorite to come out of the West? Are you going to go with the favorites?
I really like. I mean, you can have only. I feel like the only way you can have a parity is like through the first and second rounds. But I think the favorites are the favorites, man.
Okay.
I think the favorites are going to come.
So you think Oklahoma City out of the West?
I think OKC out of the West, unless the Lakers out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I think even though Luka don't play D, I think LeBron James is LeBron James.
I think that's the easiest bet. Game 2, I bet the Lakers against Timberwolves. I think they come back and play well. So then then Cleveland or Boston out of the East?
Boston coming back.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Boston coming back.
All right.
But no, NBA has been cool. It's been fun. I'm a Warriors fan, Steph Curry fan.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you revolutionize the game, you got to be a fan of that. I mean, nobody's shooting like him ever. So I like watching the Warriors, but playoffs have been great.
Yeah. Headline 3, NFL draft questions. Biggest questions are, how far will Shedeur Sanders fall?
Yep.
Projected to be a 2 or 3 for a long time. Then people said maybe the Saints at 9. And then now people are talking maybe 21 with Pittsburgh. If they take Jackson Dart, maybe he falls out of the first round.
Damn.
How far do you think he falls?
Realistically, I think he falls to like the 20s, 21, 25.
Yeah, 21
20,
is where Pittsburgh
25.
is.
The reason why is because of like there's a little bit of parity behind them. Even though I like the capping in I got
cool. No problem with them.
Yeah, it ain't about that to me.
I don't care about that.
But I think in the NFL ain't really tripping off that. Yeah. I just think his style of play versus the type of quarterbacks they have will be the difference maker of where he falls to. Right?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. He's limited in some of the throws he makes. He really didn't throw the ball over 10 or 15 yards the majority of the time. A quarter of his throws were past 15 yards. Is not a lot.
Right.
So he's got to prove he got to make certain throws.
Right.
And I think it is harmful that his dad is such a star. People don't want that whole thing happening. So,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could certainly be. And then you have Ashton Genty, best running back in the draft.
Right.
Jacksonville, and there's a rumor now. I don't think they do that. You got the Raiders.
Right.
The Bears would love to have him at 10. And I know the Dallas Cowboys.
Need to have him at 10.
I know the Cowboys would love to have him at 12. That's a good one. And then the other one, so there's 2 tight ends. There's Tyler Warren out of Penn State.
Yep.
And then there's Colston Loveland out of Michigan. Both those guys, there's a chance that Tyler Warren could go in the top 10.
Right.
I don't believe in taking tight ends in the top 10 because a lot of busts have happened, but that's one of the big questions. And then this is the year of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I think half the players who go in this first round will be
O or D line.
Will be O and D line.
Okay.
Yep. I think it's gonna be. They could have. I think they could have as many as 19. Being that includes pass rush. So you have the rush ends, D lines in terms of D tackles, and offensive linemen. I think combined they get 19.
As I'm listening to you say all that, how much does it matter for you to take the best player in the draft when you get a chance versus what you need?
I think early on, you got to take the best players in front of you.
For sure.
But then you get past, say, the top 7 or 8 players, then you need to make sure you take somebody. If you don't have a left tackle, you better draft a left tackle.
Yeah.
If you don't have a running back, you better draft a running back. If you don't have a quarterback, you better draft a quarterback. So when you get to a certain point, I think you have to take the need you have. Like for the Saints, need a pass rusher. All this talk about taking a quarterback or this, they either need an offensive tackle or they need a pass rusher.
Right.
That's the only 2 places you should be looking.
Right.
So,
I might be late to the party, but where did Aaron Rodgers land?
He hasn't landed.
Okay, so based on where
after the draft, he'll land somewhere.
See, you got stuff like that.
Yeah.
You got a few other.
Got Kirk Cousins too is another one.
Storylines.
Yep.
That is another reason why Shador might.
Certainly a possibility.
Certainly
a possibility. Yep.
So I mean, it's cool. I just want him to land where he needs to land. Just because I feel like I really believe in what he stands for. I think that he does carry the aura of his legacy, his family name, but I think he's also trying to prove that, hey, I can still play.
Sure.
And with you got Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and all these other things going on like that.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna drop.
Yeah, I certainly think I could see him being in the 20s and somebody else coming up to get him.
Right.
Like Cleveland, for example, since they passed on a quarterback in their first pick. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to hear from Damon Benning, the color voice of the radio coverage of the Nebraska Cornhuskers when we come back here on Let It Fly Show. Hi, welcome back to the Let It Fly Show. We are joined by 2-time national champ, former Husker, current color voice of the Huskers on the radio, and a proud papa of about 7, 8 children, 5, 4. Damon Benning joining us here on Let It Fly Show.
I think culturally you get me confused with a lot of other people. That joke is going to wear real thin. I only have 2 more kids than you do.
No,
I thought you had 5.
No.
Really? No, seriously, I thought you did. I'm not. I thought you had 5. I got 2. I thought you had 5.
Maya, Caleb, Micah, Zoe.
Isn't there another one?
Not that I
Shane.
know of.
But you got to
He got Shane. He didn't count Shane.
He's terrible.
He didn't count Shane. He didn't count Shane. What do you want me to do?
That's the one joke I don't really ride with.
Yeah.
You don't like that joke.
Because kids is kids.
Yeah.
You don't want no more than you got.
No.
They're expensive. That's why.
And you question my ability as a father, which is...
Why would that question your ability?
That's the one thing.
I'm not questioning your ability as a father.
Hey, you know what I like about
giving you
right
props
now?
on making
you
kids.
guilt tripping them in the right place.
No, I'm fine.
I may not talk to him after this. So we gotta get. This might be the best half hour I go.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Y'all funny, dude.
Because he gonna turn this direction. He gonna turn this direction. We'll do the interview with him.
Look,
in that direction.
Josh, if you catch me doing this,
he'll do the interview, turn the stage. He'll be over there all the time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey,
but I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming. Before we get to like fun stuff, how much have you thought already about this fall and having to do the games without Greg Sharp and after doing it with him for a few years? How much have you thought about that?
Yeah, it's tough. And you know me, I'm scared to death. I trust Playfly. I trust Troy Dannon.
Yeah.
I trust the University of Nebraska to, provide the person best for the job. But it's a scary time. Because, as you know, my favorite athlete of all time is Magic Johnson, and regardless of sport, and to me and for me, Greg was my Magic Johnson. He was the perfect assist guy. If you needed him to go out and get 43, he'd get 43.
Yeah.
You needed him to play a little center, he could play center. He knew right. He was the perfect pocket passer, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
He was a great assist man. So, you know, I'm honest. So I would tell you if I wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
But I'm cautiously optimistic. But it will be uncharted waters.
It's a relationship. I mean,
It is.
It's like,
and he takes really good care of me. I mean, we do everything together.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I to keep it real, like
It would
you
be
can't
difficult.
say Sharp without Benning, can't say
Yeah.
Benning without Sharp.
yeah.
And it's not
It
just
just-
because of the title.
yeah, it's just he was the consummate assist man.
Yeah. What's some of your? I mean, we can go over fondest memories, but what are some of the greatest Sharp moments that you can give to people?
So I think for one, and you know this because this is totally my personality, but there's this famous story where I went to the wrong stadium. We're in Minnesota. And I go to. They're both bank stadiums.
I know
just
they
different
are.
bank stadiums.
They are.
I'm listening. I'm
That is
listening.
true.
I'm at the pro stadium.
Yes.
And the game is clearly at the college.
Yeah,
stadium.
right.
One dome and yeah.
And so,
right.
I'm, you know, I want Greg to meet me at the elevators.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you know, which door did you go in? The security it's tough. Like this is empty. And, you know, he says, you know, meet me over by the elevators on the ground level.
Yeah.
Just take the elevator to 6.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the elevator and I said, well, there isn't a 6th floor, but there was a -2, a 1, the L,
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Right.
maybe he just likes whole numbers. Like
I know.
maybe he just means
Like he counted the buttons.
He
to
counted
6.
the buttons and
No
said
doubt.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get up to 3 and it's club level, and there's a couple people in,
Usher uniform.
and so there's some security, and they're having a meeting. There's a couple North Dakota State people, because they must have been getting ready to play there as well at some point.
Yeah.
And
Did you have any Husker gear on?
no, you know
Okay.
me, I barely wear them.
No. Yeah. I was wondering maybe you had
no
like a polo or something.
So I asked 15 times, and the lady's really getting upset. She's like, look, I don't know. Just go downstairs and start over. So I called him back. He said, meet me by the elevator with the oars,
Yeah.
you know, because they have the big
Yeah.
boat.
Sure. Right.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't see those. Which end of the building are those on? He said, oh, it's on the north end. And so I must have called him like 3 times in 60 seconds. I'm like, hey, I don't know. He says, okay, I'll come down and meet you by the elevator.
Right.
So I'm waiting by the elevator, and he said, I have no idea where you are. Just walk towards the open end of the stadium.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
My heart sank.
Oh.
Dang.
I'm like, the open
It
end
was at
of the
that moment
stadium.
you knew.
It was at that moment. I was at the wrong stadium. And just his patience. I mean, I have to be on air at 3. I sit down. I haven't plugged my computer in, nothing. They've got my backpack's on. He's got my headsets laid out.
Right.
It's 2:59 when I sit down.
Yeah.
At Minnesota Stadium.
Man.
For the
And
pregame show or for the
for
game?
for the pregame.
Game show. Okay.
And he didn't stress.
Not one
Yeah.
bit. He
Wow.
said, "Hey, it's okay." He made a couple of jokes.
Yeah.
You know, he would tell
Sound
me.
like him to me.
He would tell
crazy.
me when to, you know, hey, it's going to be about 30. You know, I'm going to open this window. Make sure you bring a coat. If you don't
Yeah,
like a coat,
sure.
just bring gloves. You know, we would eat breakfast together. He just constantly took care of me.
He took care of you. That's just the crazy part about that is like after that, every time we went to a different city, I'd be like, Meadowlands, bro. Don't go to Meadowlands.
yeah.
Come over here to Rutgers
And it was
Stadium.
funny too because they all had Apple.
Yeah.
And I have
Yeah.
an Android, and you know they would joke pin drop me, and they're like, "Oh,
wow.
we can't. It's not funny because you'll actually go there."
You
So,
go to- as
No
cold.
doubt.
so yeah, he was
Dang. Yeah.
he was the GOAT.
I
No, for
understand
sure.
that.
Go.
Damon Benning joining us here on Let It Fly show. So spring comes around, and it's a unique spring, right? Every year, every month, every day, something's changing. You're constantly learning new things. Your thoughts on the feel of this spring, especially obviously you got Caleb going into his second year. That's a part of it, but just we're not going to have a real full spring game, the NIL portal. Everything's so different.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, you guys just know my personality so well. First and foremost, I was worried about my son.
Sure.
No doubt. No doubt.
Right, and so the format, you know, all off season and all spring, it was, hey, we're going to do this. There's this Legends game. We're going to do the Pro Bowl. We're going to do media.
Yeah.
And I couldn't care less. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. It was pretty fluid. I didn't worry about it. I just was, hey, man, like, where
I
are
feel
we
bad.
at?
Nobody knew. Wasn't just you.
So I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. So, when I would go to practice and I'm watching these guys, the ins and outs, and thankfully,
Yeah.
he's held his own. He's clearly, just this morning, like he's repping with the one unit. He's repping with the ones and really playing at a high level. And he's one of those guys that's not getting any snaps on Saturday, so you always feel good about that as a dad, especially the design of the deal, right? He's like, hey, I don't want my top 2 units out there getting work, so I was happy about that. So once we got that out of the way,
For sure.
then it allowed me to, who's my new play-by-play partner going to be? What's the format for the day?
Right.
We really didn't finalize my role until yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I talked to Jace. I talked to all the guys from Playfly and my partner Jessica Cootie. And, we're going to do this 2-man rotation, and Coach Rule is dead set on me doing some of the things for the media portion.
Oh, nice.
And
you bring me out there to catch a punt. Bring me out there. I'll catch a punt.
So that's the one thing I hope. That's the one thing I hope that they don't ask me to do again.
No doubt.
Because I haven't done it in however many
turn around and
years.
catch it behind your back.
Yeah, you over
If I could, I would.
You should do it behind your back.
If I could, I would.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fluid, right?
Yeah.
We finally got the format yesterday, and we decided we're going to do away with the Legends game. But as spring goes, I like the theme that the coaches have talked about, because there's 3 things that they've talked about: competition, teaching, and how they just want to go to work. They haven't made it about anything else. It's not who said this or the portal or – it's those 3 things. Be better than you were yesterday. We want a highly competitive, physical team, and then repeat it.
Yeah,
and so I like the fact that they seem pretty dialed and focused. That's been very, very nice.
What do you think about, like, as a former player, having a son playing there, but also seeing a coach now? There's always been this conversation about people talking about the glory days, your days, and the days beyond that got to the days that you were a part of that I vividly remember, because that's when I was in grade school and all that type of stuff. How much are you able to just let the past be the past versus like want to like look for little like ways things were done back then to help out now?
That's a fair question, and it's something I used to struggle with, but I'll tell you what put my mind at ease. I have complete trust in Coach Rule. I think he's a little old school. He's savvy enough to embrace the past.
Yeah.
But he's not held captive by it. He's a very free thinker. He can change and adjust quickly to the environment. But the core of who he is a tough disciplinarian. So you watch them practice, and there's a certain level of physicality that they play with that I enjoy. There's a certain level of tempo going from station to station. There's a certain amount of, hey, let's make sure we're using the same verbiage and the common language. And, common language builds in accountability. Like I embrace that. And I like the fact that, listen, I love my university, so I always want a good ambassador.
No doubt.
And he comes across as a guy that loves the University of Nebraska. He's very passionate. He thinks big. He talks big, because I think he thinks better of Nebraska than a lot of the fan base does, to be honest.
I understand that. I can feel that.
And he is not a woe is me kind of guy. So if anybody's going to have – if my son is going to be around anybody, I want him to be around a guy like that, because you got to be a fighter.
No doubt.
You got to go to work every day. And there is no BCD. There's no blaming.
No
there's no complaining. No deflecting.
Exactly.
Like, own it, get better, and move on. So I'm happy. And there's a lot of. I'm not saying they're going to go out and play for 4 national championships in 5 or 6 years, whatever it was. But I do like the foundation that they're laying.
That's good to hear.
Damon Benning joining us here on the Let It Fly show. I'm going to use a WWE analogy, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm a big
talk to
WWE
me.
fan.
I think
I used to be.
Attitude era.
Yeah. The first couple years that Coach Rule was here, he was a babyface. He was doing all the things that he needed to do to accommodate all the different masters that he had to serve, right? And then I think part of it is Danning coming in and saying, you know what, man, don't worry about all that. Just win. And pretty quickly, I think now he's no longer a babyface. I think now he's kind of flipped over. He's a little NWO.
So
he's like, I don't
knew
care.
you was gonna say
He goes,
that.
I don't care about y'all. I don't care about playing Tennessee. I don't care if we don't have a spring game.
doubt, yeah.
I like that, though, because I've been calling for coaches to do that for a long time.
Facts,
you got to drop all that stuff and just win games.
I love it. And I agree with you. And I think he's had a much different tone, a much different tenor, but he's still authentic. And I think that's the key. The thing that I love about him is you don't leave conversations and you're like, man, I wonder what he's thinking.
No, never.
A lot of coaches, you can get that.
And as a matter of fact, he's so straightforward. Yeah. We don't even know what to do with it as media. We'll overthink it.
No doubt.
Well, listen, he just said, listen, I can't serve two masters. We got to win football games. If I'm not trying to win football games as a head coach, I'm not doing my job. Well, did he mean, does that mean that the in-state guys aren't good enough? Or is he going to change the recruit? No, listen, he's just telling you.
Yeah.
In truth.
Everything that he does is centered around, does it help us win football games?
Sure.
That's it.
Winning.
So
winning.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
go
that
to
a lot.
church with his parents. And
aren't they super?
Yeah, bro. That's what I'm about to say.
He and his dad, they're the same person. They talk the same, the same cadence.
Exactly, yeah.
They're good people.
Yeah,
I met them for the first time in Madison on the road trip because he and I usually walk together before the games to get a feel of how the day's going to go. And I met his parents, and shoot, I almost fell in love. I'm like, look, if you need any friends.
Right. No doubt.
I can use somebody more mature than me.
Yeah, but that's
this severe guy ain't cutting it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably cut off somebody in the practice and made some team mad.
Probably.
But that is where I was going to. When I talk to his dad, that's exactly what I get from his dad. You know, and really, he's just coaching being himself.
So what's my favorite, right? They just coach you in life.
Yeah.
Everything that you do on that field is super portable to being a better person. You just leave feeling like, you know what?
Yeah.
I could probably do better.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
I probably need to be a little better.
Make you want to do better. Yeah.
And I love it.
Put these in order in terms of how good you feel about a position group to maybe you don't have a great feeling for it. So got wide receivers, offensive line, D-line, and then secondary. Is there an order of comfortability you have with those?
I am most comfortable with the offensive line. I am the next most comfortable with the secondary. And, oh, boy, flip a coin. I'm not as comfortable with the wide receiving core as everybody else is. And for no other reason than if you're going to go 3 and 4 wide or, whatever personnel they want to use with multiple receivers. I mean, I feel comfortable with Hunter. I like Key. I like Barney. I like Bonner.
It's a really young group, though.
And the rest is
really young
why they're talented.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, you're talking about, Mills, Mosey, guys like that. So
that's it's
a young group. So I would probably put them last.
Okay.
Right.
Which I know is blasphemy compared to what I think the consensus is, but
well, the first two you picked are the deepest units. There's a ton of offensive linemen, and there is a ton of the people in the secondary.
So I mean,
even with DeAndre Barnes deciding he's leaving,
and there'll be some more, but I think you heard Coach Rule. Listen, I can start 4 safeties. I can start 6 corners. He's not. I mean, listen, that's Sierra Wright. That's Marshall. That's Amari Sanders.
Good problem to have.
That's Donovan Jones. That's Bly Hill, and in some combination of Tarver or another young guy. So I feel good there. But the D line, I'll say this because it needs a little context. I think has more potential of guys that can play than they did a year ago. They're not near as productive. But they have more capable players along the D-line than they did a year ago.
We don't need 2 guys playing 80% of the snaps.
No. And I mean,
that's what you had last year.
Start with Van Pop.
Yep.
Keona Davis, obviously. You really like Judy. You got options.
Yeah, no doubt.
You've got options there of guys that you can play. So I think they have more capable players than a year ago and a little deeper than the wide receiving core.
Yeah, speaking of production, kind of I'm curious about NIL and from your perspective
Yeah.
with the Huskers. I mean, you think about all the guys that you named that could potentially be. You can play 6 safeties if you want,
Yeah.
and all these other type of things. What about just going to get that one?
Yeah,
Like-
so that's
like-
I get it, right? You want to build, you want to go
Yeah,
to.
I just
guy.
wanted your take on it.
So, I think for me, the one position you need a dog, like the alpha, you got to start at the quarterback spot. They have that.
Yeah.
The next is probably a clear-cut running back. I think they have that.
Right.
Now, do I want more guys on the defense to be ready-made?
For sure.
Absolutely. But I like guys like, I love Tarver, or not Tarver. I love McGahee. I like Shavers Jr. I like Javen Wright.
Yep.
I like Sierra Wright. I like Deshaun Singleton. I like a lot of individual pieces. So they might be a sum of the parts group as opposed to
I got you.
like the cherry on top. Obviously, offense, you start with Dylan.
Right.
But even that offensive line, like you alluded to, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, well, all these, you got 4 guys,
I'm
a ton
the
of
most
stamps
impressed
who
with
didn't
that.
play. They didn't play. They're not playing the spring.
So it's funny you say that.
I'm
all
just
come
keeping
back.
it real.
I walked away. I walked away the first couple of practices, and I'm like, I don't even like Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
With
felt
that
like,
line,
but I
drinking
felt like
it.
I felt like I was
Well, they
drinking
look
it a little.
good.
I
Yep.
felt like I was drinking it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I tried everything, right? Like maybe the D line just isn't that good, or they're young and they're evolving. And I tried to make every
Sound like
excuse,
me.
but I just watch him, and
No doubt.
I think he's done a good job of developing bodies.
Yep, and those other 4 guys who didn't really play in the spring are going to come back.
I
in
mean,
the
we
fall,
talk
and
about
it's a
Letowski
lot of
like
depth.
an afterthought.
Yeah,
We-
and he's
we
probably going to
forget-
start at right tackle.
Well,
right?
we forget his Pro
Yeah.
Football Focus grade was better than Spindler's.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that's coming from a team that played in the national championship. So, like, I'm encouraged.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you mentioned earlier, and Damon Benning joining us on Let It Fly Show, you mentioned Emmett Johnson earlier. So there's talk about maybe Marty Brown, who was at Creighton Prep and
Yeah, my
North
guy.
Dakota State, coming back here. And then you got a bunch of young guys, obviously at Ives, who Coach Rule has talked about now for going on 3 years. How do you feel about the depth?
Is that a dig?
No, it's funny because he's been very persistent about we have this guy. But normally that pretty quickly with the running back.
Yeah.
If he's the guy. We just haven't seen enough of him.
So I think with the backfield, they need opportunities, and I could break them down. So I mean, EJ's EJ, right?
Yep.
They're using him in the pass catching game. He knows the offense. He's very good in pass pro. I mean, Ives is a young guy that needs more reps. The light is finally starting. It started probably in December with him, where he just was practicing.
He's getting
much
extra
better.
practice, right?
And it's what I like to say, he was seeing it better. When all of a sudden the offense kind of opens up to you and you understand motion and where the pin down is coming from
Yep.
and the feel and
Yep.
he's coming off the flare screen. You can just
Yep,
see
you can see it. The game's
a little.
slowing down for him.
And so with Ives, I'm like, he's starting to see it a little bit better. Now, he's still a guy that's got to learn to run behind his pads, right? He's a little high cut. He's got a little Arian Foster to him.
That's my comp
Where
for
he's
him.
a little
my comp for him.
upright. He's
Yeah.
kind of on the balls of his
Yeah.
feet, and you're
Yeah.
like, man, you got a nice frame. Let's
Yeah.
get behind your pads. So he'll learn that.
Right.
You get smacked a couple times.
Yeah,
You
I was about to say.
figure out how to change your pad level. Ives, I think, or not Ives, but Mekhi Nelson he's the most gifted of the bunch.
He looks a lot like Jamal Charles sometimes
Listen,
when he runs.
he is a little shifty, mean-spirited, competitive guy. East Coast guy. He's a Pennsylvania guy. Quick
Yep.
to tell you, it ain't Philly, though.
Yeah,
He
no doubt.
likes that other part of
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. And
Right.
He's got some dog in him. I joke with him, and I don't know if he thinks it's funny, but I'm like, don't let the light-skinned pretty boy fool you. Like,
No doubt.
he barks.
Yeah.
He's a dog that'll guard his yard. So
You got Parker and you got Connor Booth, two young
I
guys.
haven't seen enough of
They've been
Parker
banged up both.
being active, and
Yeah.
Booth was coming off the gimpy knee, but
Yeah.
I do like the depth that they're trying to provide, and Marty's my guy. He played with Caleb in Little League, and I coached against him when he was at prep. He was the closest that came to. We didn't give up a 100-yard rusher for 3 years,
Dang.
and Marty, he took us to task
Yeah.
on that, right? Like, no, we can't do it. And I joked with him after the game. We're shaking hands, and I said, kept the string intact. He said, just a couple more carries, coach.
Yep,
And,
yep.
and that's just how he is. He's just
Yeah.
really competitive. And so he's a guy that, he's going to be tough to get. Obviously, Nebraska's got to overcome some high bidders. And
Miami likes to pay a lot of money.
And, there's the sentiment of how he was treated by the previous staff during the recruiting process, which I don't know if Coach Rule and that staff and Coach Barthel want to inherit that makeup.
I feel you.
Right? I don't know if that's their burden to bear. That's not their cross to bear. And so I think if he can have a conversation with them and move that to the side, I don't believe it's up to this staff to make up for that. You know what I mean? That's not that wasn't on their watch. So we'll see how that evolves. But he does add a little bit different change. He's more the hammer. He's a
he's
tough
218.
Guy. He's a downhill
good
guy.
Good size guy.
And they don't really have his running style on the roster right now. They just don't. He's a hammer.
Man, I like people that's different, man.
He's a big, strong, physical runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk some Omaha talent.
Yeah.
Two people come to my mind, and I just want to know your take, but I also want to ask a question about the Metro as it is. Starting with Tay Jenkins.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Is he that good, or is all the defenses that's guarding against him just not that good?
All right. I'm going to say this because I've said this to a couple of people that I trust over the last handful of months. He's as gifted a runner with his size and how he sees the game. He reminds me a lot of Calvin Strong.
I knew it. I told you, bro. I told you. Hey, look,
he reminds me.
Listen.
Calvin was.
I told people that.
Calvin finished runs. He practiced hard. I mean, we're talking about a guy that rushed for 7 bills.
I know.
In
Me
high
and him,
school.
we talked about this.
He has some Calvin Strong to him. He loves to practice.
Yeah.
He's built low to the ground. He's got great balance. Now he's faster.
I got excited about that.
He's faster. He's
I
faster than Calvin.
Yeah.
But he has the similar mindset. He is a gifted, and he's only going to be a junior.
Man,
yeah, I know. That shocked me.
I swear to you, like myself and Michael, I'd be like, bro, that look like Calvin Strong. He'd be like, I know.
Yeah.
And also, we sometimes would go back and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if the Metro is just trash or is he just. I've been knowing Tay for a long time. I know how gifted he is, but this is different.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He doesn't give you a lot to hit. So I mean,
I'm telling you,
he was sitting here. He's only about this big.
I picked my little guy up from track practice yesterday
Yeah.
after school, and he and Jamel's son Bryson Williams were walking out together, and I said, hey. They came over, and I got the hug through the window. They're just great. He's a great kid, and he's like, Coach B. Got my grades going, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
Like he's
on track.
He's just a good-natured, really, really good football player. You should see him catch the ball.
You validated it for me.
You should see him catch the ball.
Okay.
He was talking about the Omaha metro area. Are you concerned about what's going to happen with the 105 and walk-ons and some of those guys who obviously came out of Nebraska, came out of the metro, went in there and made something out of themselves? Yeah. Those spots aren't going to be there for them.
Yeah, so I'm always torn. You and I have had this conversation for a long time. I love the metro. I love Omaha. It's obviously where it has treated me well and the place that I picked to raise my family. Mm-hmm. And I love young people.
Yeah.
And I love the university too. There's no question about that. And it's not always going to be a good fit. And sure, I'm okay with that. I think water will find its levels, and I'm all for opportunity. So whether you're at North Dakota State or Iowa State or Kansas State or Wisconsin or I almost had that headache in my own house.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
So I get it. But what I want people to be careful of is because they aren't going to Nebraska and it's an Iowa State thing or Iowa or whatever. I mean, don't thumb your nose up at these other programs that have done a really good job of developing players. I mean, Iowa State's going to have a couple guys that would be drafted pretty high. Yeah. They put guys in the league. K-State.
Yep.
Marquise Siegel, my other guy.
Yeah, he did.
They put guys
in
the league.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we should be cheering for is for them to just have opportunity, to get their school paid for. And
exactly.
You hope that it's at Nebraska, but if it's not,
I'm with you.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
My second person is Deshaun Prince. My thing about him is he just looks
tough
like
break.
He's what's your take on him?
So, before the injury, Boy, he was something else. My favorite thing about DP was his competitive motor.
Yeah.
He really helped them early on, Millard South, in basketball because he provided interior toughness.
Yeah.
He could guard 1 through 5.
Yep.
I don't care. He should have stayed at Central. I don't care.
No, I understand. But listen, he was a guy. I can say this because we played him.
No doubt. Yeah.
He was a guy that whoever he was covering, it was a problem.
For sure. I watched it.
He was a
That's what I'm
big,
asking.
strong, physical, athletic corner.
Yeah.
And it was a shame with the knee injury because you're missing this recruiting period, and you still got to do what you're doing in school. But when it just comes to raw athleticism and being competitive, he belongs in the discussion. He would erase number 1 receivers.
I agree.
Yeah.
And he embraced the role too.
So you
He
thought
could
his future
easily
was a
play
corner,
offense.
not as a wide receiver. I know he wants to be a wide receiver.
I like him better as a
I
defensive
like the
player.
defensive. Yeah, I agree.
He's
Yeah, you could see that when I watched him play at Central playing basketball. I mean, you could just see him. He was just a different athlete
And
compared to everybody.
he's
And that was a
explosive,
pretty
too.
good team they had over at Central Time.
and the other thing is he wears on you because he's not going away.
I know. He got a dog. He got a dog.
He's not going away.
I had to ask you about them, too, because I watched the games. I was with them kind of doing basketball skills training when they were like 6th grade, 7th grade.
You know the funny thing about that?
What's that?
We've had Tay in our basketball organization forever, and I used to joke with him. I'd say, "Do you know what you'd be like just running inside zone?" Nah, Coach B.
That's how he sounds, too.
Coach B. I'm like, Tay,
Yeah.
you would be amazing
Yeah.
running zone. Nah, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I'm a hooper.
Yeah.
And then something happened from 8th to 9th grade
I know.
to 9th to 10th. He's like, I can go to school to play football. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
we don't
Plus,
need
he
it. We
went
don't
to
need any
prep.
5'7" guards.
I know.
So that's like Muggsy Bogues kind of guy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell me which one of these 3 guys have the best chance to be first team All Big Ten.
Okay.
Keona Davis, Van Poppel, or Warneri.
Van Poppel.
Because of where he plays, being inside and
Van Poppel is the most mature of the bunch, and he's already talented. So you're asking me to factor. I'm like capacity to work.
Yeah, for sure.
He understands rigor.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Like my
He
man.
was ready to go last year.
My man can go to work every day and be an 8.
Wow. That's
Can't-
hard to do, bro.
But it's the whole consistency is the
I know,
whole
I
key.
know.
Now,
Yeah.
Keona Davis, and I get the Winari thing because of how he was highly touted out of high school.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself though. Keona Davis, I think, is the most talented.
Out of the bunch.
He looks like it.
For sure.
Yeah.
He's incredibly his frame
Yeah.
Yeah.
and his hands. He's a guy that will make a play. He'll play it wrong, right? He'll get vertical. He won't feel pressure, and he'll get up the field. And he's still quick enough to get back down and make a play.
Yeah.
So he'll get you a couple splash plays,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
When he learns to do the consistent thing, like head down, I get down, like don't be boom or bust. When he starts to get that, the sky's the limit. He has
Like Ty from junior to senior year.
right.
He got
and
lost so often.
and you saw
Yeah.
it. You saw it.
Yeah.
Remember when they played Oklahoma down in Norman or Colorado in Boulder, and you're like, Ty, like you know better.
Northwestern game.
Just be a little more
Gave up a touchdown run.
Just be a little more
no.
disciplined.
In a
like
low-scoring
you
game.
can't play the
Yeah,
hero
I know.
ball. So
You know,
when,
high.
when you learn as a D lineman, especially
Yep.
when you play in the interior, that you have to be unselfish, and by
Yeah.
being unselfish, you
Right.
can make plays.
Yeah, he was
stay
trying to
home.
make the play.
That's where Keona's got a chance. He's talented.
Dang.
He's talented.
So who do you want your Steelers to pick at 21? Like if you had a pick and you say I want this guy, you got a couple of them. Who do you want at 21?
So I want Hampton.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think he'll get there.
You don't think he'll get there?
I don't. So
I think he might though.
So here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about Ashton Gianti going. I think Jacksonville may snatch him.
That is crazy to think about.
I think they may think best player available. We got our quarterback. We have good skill outside.
I get that.
Like if they take Ashton early and he's gone by 5, I believe, Chicago will be somebody will be in play for Hampton.
Dang.
And so I worry about that. But
I
I'm
think-
not. Don't let me kid you though. If I could get I hate the term. If I could get a bridge quarterback in Pittsburgh, just get me a year. I would even think about stomaching Kirk Cousins.
How about Aaron Rodgers?
You
That's a
can't.
bridge-
you can't
bridge too
gi-
far?
You can't give me Rodgers and a guy like Shedeur. I can't handle that as a Steelers fan. I already have to cheer for LeBron as a Lakers fan.
Sure,
No doubt.
And I'm miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
So,
I'm following you. I'm following
you can't. Don't give me both of those guys.
Here's why I think Hampton will be there is because general managers love the splash, and they're seeing all these plays with Henderson, and that's why you keep seeing him kind
He's
of move
probably,
up,
in
and you
my
see
opinion,
all that splash.
In my opinion, I think Henderson is the most NFL ready back, not named Ashton Gianti.
Yeah, he's going to give you a ton
Travion
of
Henderson, I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
he's going to
Okay.
the outside zone stuff. He's going to give you some really big plays.
Here's the thing, too. He can pass pro, and he takes care of
and
the
he
ball.
catches the ball too.
Give him enough cracks at it,
Yeah.
you will get creased.
The thing about Hampton
No
is
doubt.
first contact. Obviously, Genti's number one. He's got more yards after first contact than anybody else has yards.
I don't believe there's any real debate between Henderson and Judkins. I take Travion every day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
And people thought, it does kind of depend on scheme a little bit, whether you're a gap or a zone guy. But Henderson is filthy. I just think the Steelers need to be able to run the ball. They're going to need play action.
That's why I think
especially
Hampton
if you
hangs
get,
around.
especially if you have a bridge guy like Cousins.
Yeah. The
Who
plus
I
two and
think
a
is
half-
going to be in play.
Yeah, he's going to go someplace.
He's going to be in
Obviously,
play.
He's gonna go
he knows
someplace.
he's played his last days in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense.
I just don't want the circus that comes with Sanders in Pittsburgh. And
Yeah.
I know Tomlin is built to handle
that
it.
dude.
I just don't want to see the Steelers on television every morning with some story.
facts.
Thing is,
Yeah.
I don't-
He,
I feel
he,
you. I feel
he
you.
controls the circus better than anybody ever. You don't find out there's a circus until they go someplace else.
oh, yeah.
He nipped
Right?
it, bro.
You're like, Antonio Brown,
Martavius
he seems
Bryant.
fine. And then whoa.
How did he keep Martavius Bryant?
How did he keep all of those people?
I mean, this man is he's a legit criminal.
Yeah,
know,
I mean, he
right?
wasn't at college.
Right.
He got in trouble in Pitt. Got
Then
kicked out of school.
Then you had Antonio. Then you had
Antonio
Le'Veon
Brown,
Bell.
yeah.
He
Exactly.
controls it. That's
get
what he
it.
does. He controls it, and I don't think Shedeur is a bad dude.
I don't either.
No,
He's
you're
got
saying
certain
that.
limitations. How far do you think he drops though?
So if he doesn't, and I think you're going to be safe.
9?
I don't think Saints go.
I don't
Saints
think
don't
the
take
Saints.
him.
I think I don't.
Saints
so
aren't taking him.
He's in trouble if the Saints don't get him.
That's what I said. That's why I had him at 21 early on because I thought
Somebody
Saints
would
aren't
have to
taking
make
him.
a move to get back into the first.
Does somebody
because
want to jump up?
He has too many second-round grades.
That's
Yep.
facts.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
Yeah.
if he gets past 9, it could be a second if it's not the Steelers.
Right. Would you say the overall best player in the draft is Travis Hunter?
So that's interesting.
Is that
Carter,
debatable? I mean, I've been kind of looking and
I
trying to
think I'd
research.
probably
you
take
can
Abdul
only
Carter.
so he's interesting. That's a
I think
great question.
his ceiling is
Unless you let Hunter
ridiculous.
play both ways, he is not a top 3 pick for me.
Man.
Because he's not a top 3 wide receiver and he's not a top 3 corner.
Do you
So
believe he could
lose-
become that though if he's so say he does play one way
yeah, he got
and
commit.
all of a sudden he's no longer sitting in 2 different meetings or having to play both ways. He literally just concentrates on just being a wide receiver or
He-
just a corner.
It would have to be corner.
Yeah, he's not Dante Smith.
He's not. And this is crazy because Chase is good. He's not Jamar Chase.
No, he's not. He reminds me of Malik Neighbors though.
Yeah.
Same kind
I'm
of
following
body
you.
style,
No,
same weight, same
do you know the
everything.
difference? Do you know the difference between he and Neighbors? At least for me, Neighbors has this physical component to his game that's kind of quiet.
Yeah.
People try to harass him and they touch and clutch.
Sure.
Travis hasn't been through that yet. Neighbors has proven.
Yeah. He hasn't been through it yet. I've never
Neighbors
seen
has proven he can take it.
He
He's
makes
a physical little dude.
This is the tough thing
sure.
because I don't defend Colorado players, but I've never seen someone make that many contested catches.
I like Hunter.
Remember the little out they
Okay.
threw against he comes back and he gets one arm on the ball. He's got incredible ball skills.
I
It's
like it.
incredible.
But
I see what you're saying about where you want to. You have to be great. You'd be Andre Johnson, Calvin
you
Johnson to
don't
go
take-
top 3.
yeah.
Yeah. Even Julio Jones, at 6. You got to be a pretty high level dude to be taking that high as a wide receiver.
So if you don't let him do both things, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, I think they
That's facts.
they put him at corner
Okay.
and you use him in some specialty thing at wide receiver. Give me your this is an unfair question. Top 5 running backs since 1997 for the Nebraska
Yeah,
Cornhuskers.
because I got something to follow up with that.
Top 5 since 97. So you start with the 98 year, Ball Coulter and those guys.
Give
and come
me
forward.
since '97.
Since 97, yep.
I'll take Amir,
Yep.
Halu,
Yep.
Amir, Halu, Brandon Jackson,
Yep.
Rex Burkhead,
Okay.
and probably Corey Ross.
Oh, okay. So
I was about to say, man.
So
dang.
this is not good.
Yeah,
So this is the thing. You know what? You know who you don't have in the part?
Corey Ross was.
You know
fine
what I
for
have
me.
on here?
Who?
I have Darren Dietrich on here. He doesn't run like you like, but in terms of his production,
He said no.
oh my God, I know he doesn't run like you like.
Yeah.
I know because Corral doesn't, Dan Alexander and Darren, those guys don't run like you.
He's not even in the discussion.
Yeah, he was. I like
Corey
the
Ross
Canadian
was gonna be
kid.
If you want a power guy, then you take Dan Alexander
Yeah.
over Darren.
Well, you want him to hold the ball, right?
Darren, hey, it's not like Darren was.
I don't know. I don't know.
National security.
Out of all these guys, Corral Buckholter probably, like a lot of these guys, had one of the best. He probably had the best NFL career afterwards.
So my favorite thing about Buck, why I love Buck, and I probably should
Filled up
put him on
Mississippi?
the list, but I couldn't because
Not in front of Corey Ross.
he was misused.
Yeah.
Now,
And Corey was the first 2 years.
when you talk about a gifted runner, though,
Right.
Correll's footwork was, and you know who this is lofty. You know who he reminds me of in terms of being able to pick him up and put him down with his balance? He was like Kenny Clark.
Really, you love Kenny Clark. You have Kenny Clark in your top 5 all-time
Of all
Nebraska.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what my question was going
Go
to be.
ahead.
Top 5 Huskers of all time.
Just running backs?
No, Huskers.
No, Huskers.
Sue, Jason Peter, Lawrence Phillips, Richard Glover. And I think you have to go with T. Fraze. If I had one game to win, he's taking the snap. I mean, the guy's a 3-time bowl MVP.
I know, man. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So let me give you a
crazy.
2-time defensive player. Let me give you a 2-time defensive player of the year. Let me give you a 3-time
Arlen?
national champion. Let me give you a 3-time national champion.
I'll-
Let me give you a Super Bowl winner when he got to the league.
Grant Wistrom?
And yes.
Yeah, he belongs.
Yeah, I always wonder. So if
so
you're
it's
gonna,
an interchangeable 3 through 5.
I think
Yeah,
Grant and Sue. Grant gets his jersey retired first, and then I would retire Sue.
Here's the thing. I don't think Sue's the comp. Who was the best player on that defense in '98 between Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom?
That's
You have
97.
to- you have to-
97.
You have to start there.
Yeah, in 97. Yeah. Yeah.
Jason was unblockable.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Well, he had a lot more.
Jason belongs in the discussion.
Yeah.
He's over. He was He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a menace.
That's the reason why he was a 6 overall pick.
No, I
he
understand.
was a menace.
I know.
I
I know.
understand.
You
yeah.
could not single block him.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I'm G-Dub, and listen, Grant was gifted.
Yeah. But you
Grant-
put him second to Sue, though.
I think the comp is with Jason
Okay.
and not
I'm talking about
with
retiring the
Sue.
Oh,
numbers.
word.
The conversation now is
respect.
who you retire, number you
Yeah,
retire.
I don't
numbers.
have any problems with Wistrom.
For sure.
He was incredible. I got make somebody 5A.
Right.
Make T Fraze 5A.
No doubt.
And put
no
Wistrom
doubt.
in.
Well, the line you
doubt.
use because there's a lot of quarterbacks out there, but if you need to win one game, you know he's going to put you on his back.
And T Fraze's greatest strength is he could lead other good players. Some guys can't control other alphas.
That's real. That's real.
T Fraze could. I
Yeah.
mean, he had to deal with Wiegert and those guys. Like,
Yeah.
that's not easy.
Right.
Guy's a terror.
Yeah. Just thinking about like your years, talking to some of your teammates, they would say your practices was more intense than your games.
Without question.
That's real.
Yeah. I mean, there were times where this guy would tell me to like turn it down. Like,
Dang.
hey, you don't have to win like the waste paper basket thing
Yeah.
or whatever we were doing.
Oh, being competitive? Yeah.
Wow.
And I would try to explain to him, with those guys, it's why I would never pick to go to college. Back
sure.
to college. I
Yeah.
would go back to high school.
Uh-huh.
For no other reason, Josh, I don't want to have to be on every day. Because when I wasn't on in college, like, you would get hurt.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they were saying like
Like, that's not hyperbole. Like, if
I was
you
hearing
could
these
come out there and try to fake and you would get hurt.
Yeah, I was like shocked. Like you the fifth one of your teammates that said that.
You come out here all spatted up.
Yeah.
We're going to take
Like-
you out.
You know what happened? Well,
Yeah.
it's like old school Big Daddy Kane. I came out
Yeah.
there half stepping.
Right, no,
exactly.
right.
Like,
Half
and
stepping.
you
Yeah.
would get, there would be live blitz. You couldn't survive.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
was that something that Coach Osborne was set as the president of the practice, or was it just like, man, I got
It was-
somebody in front of me?
It was Coach Solich.
Solage.
It was Coach Solich. And it was everybody's position coach, right? Ask the receiver, ask Abdul and those guys. Like, for them, it was Ron Brown. For the D-line, it was McBride.
Yeah.
The individual coaching that went on with the position groups was as competitive amongst that staff is any player.
Yeah,
back.
they would hate
As
on each
any,
other.
Is any player back.
They would hate on each other.
Coach Solich would see wide receivers out before us and stay later, and before you knew it, I mean, pre-practice,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Like, why are we out here at 2:55? Practice is not supposed to start until 3:50.
3:50 something.
Well,
Yeah.
the receivers were out at 3:05.
And they competed for everything.
Right?
Who had the best recruits?
Yeah.
Who won practice?
So we would trickle out a little earlier, and we'd stay a little later. It was just how it went.
How do you create that culture again for the Huskers now?
So that's why I like the mat drills. That's why I like him reset. Like every change in practice, they reset the parameters on, hey, we're going live here.
Yeah.
This is physical. You heard Coach Rule talk last week about guys that say, let's turn this up. Or,
Yep.
I like this live period. Or Dan Key saying,
let's go live.
Let's go
Yeah.
live. Mm-hmm. The more that starts to happen, the more you get that culture.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Damon, we appreciate it, man.
Man, I can
Anytime.
talk to you
Very
all
much.
day about the Huskers, man.
Anytime,
I feel
man.
like
love
I
it.
know so much about the Huskers from not just watching, but you and him.
Yeah, that's my guy, man.
Y'all teach me everything I need to know.
Big brother.
One more little thing. So I keep saying it's like 2011's draft. So Cam's gonna go one, right? Cam Newton,
Yep,
Cam Ward, then a whole bunch of bad quarterbacks. Who's your Andy Dalton?
Tyler Shuck.
See, I think it's Chuck too. I really do. Yeah. I really think it's Chuck too. I know he's a 7th-year guy and all that, but it helps now. It helps now.
Yeah.
Look how many starts. A lot of guys are now getting 40, 50 starts.
I mean, and what were you giving me to work with the other way? You think I want Quentin Richardson?
Right.
Or Mark Sanchez?
No doubt.
Or,
Yeah, guys with 12 starts, 13 starts.
Yeah.
Give me all the starts.
Give me the experience.
No,
and
I agree.
his injuries are like it's fluky stuff. It's not anything structural. He'll be fine, and he can spin it.
No doubt about that. Damon, we appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, welcome back to Let It Fly. So thanks, Damon Benning, for joining us.
Always good talking to him, man.
Yeah, I used to always say my favorite things was like there'd be Damon and R.I.P. Calvin Jones or one of those guys that he hung out with, Tony Veland, and they'd be talking about the old days.
Yep.
And it was just cool to kind of sit back and listen to those stories because they did some crazy stuff.
I know.
Nut stuff happened, but it was just fun. It's fun to listen to those guys talk about how it was when they were there.
Yeah, I remember, we didn't talk about it on his segment, but he was telling me about how when Scott Frost and the girlfriend and you know what I'm saying?
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I know,
Yeah, so hearing that, but also for me, I think as a fan growing up, it was cool for me to hear about how practice was.
Yeah.
I mean, Veland told me, Benning told me, Klester told me, like everybody I talked to.
It was wars, man. They had wars at practice.
Yeah,
absolute wars.
Rashawn Jackson, like all them people,
Yeah.
And I feel like
That's how you get ready, though, man. That's how you get ready.
Right.
You get ready by working harder than everybody else.
Right.
So when the real game comes around, you're like, this is fun.
But it's weird though, because why is that only considered an old school thing and just not culture in general?
Well, now you worry about guys getting injured. You don't have as much depth. They had 170 guys on the team.
No doubt.
You worry more about depth now. You worry about the injuries, and you worry about. I'm not degrading the young folks. But there are some who like, don't do that stuff to my child.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear you screaming at me, that kind of thing. So that's part of it as well.
For sure.
So special thanks to Damon Benning. We appreciate him. Of course, Caleb running the board.
Yep.
As always, we appreciate that. And as a reminder, our presenting sponsor, Bud Light, taking care of us. We appreciate Bud Light, bringing you easy drinking and easy buckets and strikeouts. And eventually we'll be back with touchdowns again, easy drinking and easy to enjoy. And don't forget, if you listen to us on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening on a Spotify or Apple or any of those, same thing. Like, subscribe. So it helps us out, of course, to do that as well. So we appreciate that. Sir, take us away.
It's been real, buddy. Josh Jones here with Michael Severe. You know how we do it. It's a Let It Fly show.